Insult, harm, betrayal. These are wounds that leave a mark, sometimes deeper than we realise. They trigger our threat system, sparking fear and anger and the need to protect ourselves or seek revenge. But what if, instead of staying stuck in that cycle, we could find a way to transform it? What if we could find compassion for ourselves, but also for those who hurt us? Hi, I'm Dr. Stan Steindl, and welcome back to Compassion in a T-shirt, where we dive into the science and real-world application of compassion, uncovering how it can reshape our lives and relationships. A quick note before we get started. I've noticed recently that many of the viewers of this channel aren't subscribed. If you enjoy this content and want to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to subscribe. It really helps get this content out to more people who might benefit from it. Today, we're diving into a deeply challenging but profoundly transformative topic: how to cultivate compassion for people who hurt us. Whether it's an insult or offence, a hurt or a betrayal, or even something more serious, extending compassion to someone who's caused us pain is absolutely no small task. But as we'll explore, it's one of the most powerful ways to heal and grow. So take a breath, ground yourself, and let's explore this challenging path together. The challenge of compassion. Let's start with the obvious. Cultivating compassion for people who hurt us feels counterintuitive. Our brains are wired to protect us. When someone causes us harm, our threat system activates in a way that's immediate and automatic, just as it's designed to do. It triggers anger, fear, and the urge to retaliate or hide away. For example, imagine a colleague at work unfairly and harshly criticizing you in a meeting. Your immediate reaction might be to feel attacked, belittled, or even humiliated, prompting anger and a defensive or avoidant response. And imagine, too, going home at the end of that day. What will be occupying your mind? The threat system can be activated by an external event, like the hurtful behaviour of another person, and then we internalise it. The products of our minds, our thoughts, feelings, motivations, urges, and so on, can keep threat system activation alive through rumination and worry, resentment and rage, and urges to teach them a lesson or right the wrong. And this happens not just in our minds, but also in our bodies. When the threat system is activated, the sympathetic nervous system takes over, preparing us for fight, flight, or freeze. This can lead to tension, a racing heart, shallow breathing, and even digestive upset. We can't sleep, we can't sit still, and yet at the same time we feel exhausted and intensely frustrated. Our bodies carry the burden of this activation, which can keep us stuck in a cycle of stress. And yet we feel like being nice, kind, or even helpful is the last thing we want to do. In the end, we experience a lot of ongoing suffering. Compassion, on the other hand, involves activating the soothing system, which requires intentional effort. We aim to cultivate a sense of stability, groundedness, and calm, creating the space to access our deeper wisdom and take thoughtful, helpful action. But this is often far from easy. When we feel hurt, our minds may resist soothing and instead replay the event over and over, reinforcing our pain. We feel threatened and unsafe, and letting go of resentment and making room for compassion can feel unnatural and even unjust at times. It takes courage and effort to shift from a space of pain and anger into one of understanding and healing. But why even try to cultivate compassion in these situations? Well, it's not about excusing bad behaviour. It's not about letting them get away with it. It's not about being some sort of doormat. These are what we call fears of compassion. Instead, cultivating compassion when someone hurts us is about freeing ourselves from the cycle of resentment and pain. As the saying goes, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Compassion, on the other hand, can be an antidote. An evolutionary basis for compassion. From a compassion-focused therapy perspective, all of this is rooted in our evolution. Humans are social creatures, and our survival has always depended on our ability to navigate social relationships. Paul Gilbert's theory of social mentalities highlights how we constantly interpret social signals to navigate relationships. Social roles develop to serve essential evolutionary goals: caregiving and receiving, maintaining social rank, and forming alliances. These mentalities originally evolved to help us coordinate interactions, ensuring cooperation and survival. When we face rejection or harm, our deep-seated fears of exclusion activate, triggering our threat system as if our very survival were at risk. This explains why social wounds can feel so profound and why we're naturally sensitive to social threats. We're wired to be highly attuned to social threats because, for much of human history, being cast out of the group could mean life or death. Social rejection, betrayal, or an attack on our reputation all activate our threat system because they signal a potential loss of belonging and safety. When someone hurts us, our threat system doesn't just register the pain of the moment, it categorizes that person as a potential enemy, someone who may continue to pose a risk to us. We feel an instinctive urge to retaliate or remove them from our lives. Our evolutionary wiring tells us that reducing threats increases survival. While other humans can be our greatest sources of support, as we shall see, they can also be our greatest sources of harm. We're wired to be wary, especially when trust has been broken. This is not our fault. It's an automatic response shaped by evolution to help us survive. Our threat systems are designed to detect and respond to danger. And when someone hurts us, they are perceived as a potential ongoing threat. However, while this response is natural, staying stuck in it can prolong our suffering. Learning to manage our minds and the evolved dynamic at play allows us to break free from this cycle, reducing our distress and fostering healing for both ourselves and others. Luckily, evolution also gave us another powerful tool to help with that: compassion. Just as we evolved to detect and respond to threats, we also evolved mechanisms for connection, cooperation, and care. Compassion is what allows us to form bonds, repair relationships, and create stability within groups. We can activate our soothing affiliative system, which helps regulate our threat responses and foster a sense of safeness. This means we all have the capacity for compassion and its profound benefits to our well-being, even towards those who hurt us. Understanding that their actions often stem from their own tricky, evolved brains can help us shift from pure anger and resentment to a broader perspective that acknowledges the complex nature of human behavior. This doesn't mean excusing harm, but it does offer a way forward that's rooted in wisdom rather than reactivity. Now that we've explored why our minds and bodies react so strongly to harm from others, let's shift our focus to what we can actually do about it. How do we break free from cycles of anger, resentment, and pain? Here are some practical steps you can take to cultivate compassion even when it's difficult. Cultivating compassion. Compassion for yourself. When someone hurts us, our first instinct is often to blame ourselves in some way. Why did I let this happen? Am I not good enough? Or I should have done something differently. These self-conscious emotions, embarrassment, shame, humiliation, self-loathing, can make the pain even worse. But let's be clear, it is not your fault that you were hurt. Your brain and body are responding the way they're designed to. What matters now is how you care for yourself in the aftermath. Here's how we can soften the impact of self-blame and shift towards self-compassion. Validate your pain. Your feelings are real, natural, and understandable. You don't need to push them away. Remind yourself that it is okay to feel hurt, that this experience is difficult, and that anyone in your position would likely feel the same way. Try telling yourself, I am allowed to feel this way, or it makes sense that I feel hurt right now. Acknowledging and accepting your emotions without judgment is the first step towards healing. You might also say, I am doing my best with what I have right now, reinforcing that your response is valid and that healing takes time. Reassure yourself. Your response to being hurt is not a flaw in you. Rather, it's a deeply ingrained evolutionary response to social threat. Your brain and body are working hard to protect you, reacting in ways that have been essential for survival throughout human history. When you feel the weight of pain, remember that this response does not mean you are weak or broken. Instead, it highlights how profoundly we're wired to seek safety and connection. Recognizing this can help you be gentler with yourself and take steps towards healing rather than self-criticism. Even in the midst of pain, know that things will get better. This too shall pass, and with time, self-compassion and support, you will find your way through to a place of greater peace and resilience. Affirm your worth. The hurt caused by another person does not define you. Instead, what truly defines you are your values, strengths, and the way you choose to treat yourself. It's important to remind yourself that you are more than this experience and that you're worthy of kindness, especially your own. By affirming your self-worth, you allow yourself to shift away from the pain inflicted by another and focus on nurturing the qualities that make you resilient and whole. Encourage healing actions. Take a moment to reflect on what you need most in this moment. Healing doesn't happen all at once, but small, compassionate actions can make a significant difference. Perhaps you need to rest, giving yourself permission to take a break without guilt. Maybe seeking support from a trusted friend or loved one will help you feel heard and understood. Engaging in self-kindness, whether through a soothing activity like a warm bath, journaling your emotions, or simply allowing yourself to feel without judgment, can also create space for healing. The key is to listen to yourself and respond with the same care you would offer to someone you deeply cherish. Every act of self-compassion moves you closer to a place of balance and emotional resilience. Compassion for the other person. Our other instinct, something of a mirror to the self-blame, is to blame the other person, feeling enraged by their actions. While some of that might feel justified and may even provide a fleeting sense of power or relief, it often only serves to perpetuate the suffering we feel. Understanding someone's behavior and cultivating a compassionate motivation does not mean excusing it. It means seeing why they acted as they did, so we can free ourselves from the grip of resentment. Their tricky brain. Just like you, the person who has hurt you has an evolved brain shaped by threat and drive. Their actions may have been driven by fear, insecurity, status seeking, or unmet needs, rather than a deliberate intent to harm. When people are overwhelmed by their own suffering or struggles, they may react in ways that are hurtful, often without fully understanding the impact of their behavior. This doesn't justify their actions, but it can help us see them as complex individuals with their own inner battles. Recognizing this can make it easier to release resentment and move towards a place of greater emotional freedom. Hurt people hurt people. When people lash out, it often comes from their suffering. Our brains are shaped by our experiences, and when those experiences include pain, neglect, or mistreatment, they can deeply influence how we behave towards others. Sometimes, hurtful behavior is not about the present moment, but rather a reflection of past wounds that have not been healed. If someone has had a difficult upbringing, experienced betrayal, or faced emotional neglect, they may develop patterns of reacting to others from a place of self-protection rather than connection. Recognizing this does not excuse harmful actions, but it can help us understand that pain often begets pain. Seeing this bigger picture allows us to soften our anger while still maintaining boundaries to protect ourselves. Forgiveness as emotional freedom. Forgiveness is not saying what happened was okay. It's about letting go of the resentment so it doesn't keep hurting you. It's a way to reclaim your emotional freedom and shift from a place of pain to one of peace. This doesn't mean forgetting or excusing the harm done. but rather choosing to release the hold it has on you. May I begin to forgive you for the hurt you have caused, wittingly or unwittingly, and commit to doing what I can to prevent the same sort of hurt from you or anyone else in the future, taking their behaviour under advisement. Compassion doesn't mean staying in harm's way. Instead, it means learning from the experience and making choices that protect our well-being. One of the most important things we can take forward is a clearer understanding of boundaries. What we will and will not allow in our relationships with this person or with others. It's about recognizing our right to safety and respect and reinforcing that with the way we engage with others moving forward. Similarly, assertiveness is key. It's not about being aggressive or confrontational, but about clearly expressing our needs, feelings, and limits. We can practice using our voice in a way that's calm, confident, and self-respecting, ensuring that we communicate what is and isn't acceptable to us. Finally, developing awareness is crucial. What patterns can we recognize in others' behavior? Are there red flags we might have overlooked in the past that we can be more attuned to in the future? Reflecting on these experiences with a compassionate yet discerning eye helps us make wiser choices about who we allow into our lives and how we navigate our relationships. The goal is not to shut ourselves off from others, but to engage with them in a way that fosters mutual care, respect, and emotional safety. This process is about freeing yourself from suffering, not about excusing harm or inviting more into your life, or hiding in a metaphorical cave and feeling isolated and lonely. Through compassion, we can learn, heal, and move forward with strength and wisdom. The benefits of compassion. Cultivating compassion for someone who hurt you isn't just for their benefit, although it is an act in the flow of compassion for others. It's for your benefit too. Research shows that compassion for others can reduce stress, improve relationships, and even enhance physical health. In a way, compassion for others is a profound act of self-compassion too. Remember, compassion is a process, not a one-time event. It's okay if you're not ready to feel compassion right now. Start with small steps and build from there. As strange as this sounds, when uncomfortable interactions happen with others, maybe even coming along with mild forms of hurt, they offer us a chance to practice compassion, enhance our compassionate attributes and skills, and ultimately live a more compassionate life with good health and well-being. And in conclusion, cultivating compassion for people who hurt us is one of the hardest things we can do. But it's also one of the most liberating. It's a gift we give ourselves, a way to move forward with more peace, understanding, and resilience. What about you? Have you ever tried to find compassion for someone who caused you pain? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. There's a lot to all this, and learning from others can really add to our collective wisdom. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Compassion in a T-shirt for more content on the science and practice of compassion. Until next time, take care of yourself, and may you find compassion for the world and for yourself.